Hey everybody, it's Alexander Dahl with Manifest Vitality once again. So I have today's interview ready to go, so we'll go ahead and just get straight into that. That's all I got, so here you go. All right, bye. All right, so I'm currently on the phone with Maurice. He's another one of the musicians that reached out to me about the current interview series, so I'm going to go ahead and give him the chance to introduce himself.
Hello, my name is Maurice. I am one of the seniors out here. I'm about 61 years old. Been playing music for about 55 years or so. Live in the Twin Cities for over 30 years.
Mhm.
Do a lot of local music and a lot of recording.
Awesome. So I always like to start at the beginning, as it were. When you were first finding music, what was it about music that really connected to you and made you realize that you wanted to have it in your life?
Well, I don't know, I got really attracted to this rhythms, a lot of jazz type rhythms, a lot of fusion type rhythms. When
Hmm.
I was in my early years, like 5 or 6. And I kind of really knew I was going to be playing drums at that point. My mom realized I was going to be playing drums because every time a song came on, like we were watching TV, I'd have a fork and a knife and I'd tap it on the table, and note for note. And
Hmm.
she actually showed me that when I got older that all the furniture I ruined. But it was definitely in my calling, and I got a first drum set from a friend that was playing drums and he decided not to,
Hmm.
and I brought that home and I've been playing ever since.
Awesome. So when you did kind of realize that you had that natural knack for it, did you seek out any lessons? Did you participate in any of the school band programs?
Yes, yes, and I think that's really important. School programs are out of sight. They didn't give me the opportunity to do a regular drum set, but I was doing like percussion.
Hmm.
So I did bongos and congos, timbales in
Hmm.
when I was going through elementary school to junior high. Then high school I joined like the stage band,
Hmm.
so I played at all the proms every year, and I was playing drums at that time.
Sure.
So I was like the hottest thing on campus.
Very cool. Did you also do drumline or marching band?
No, well, at one time I was kind of not the greatest kid in the world. Sometimes I
Hmm.
kind of got rebellious, and my mom and dad threatened me to put me in the military school,
Oh no.
and so I thought they were kidding, but they actually had an appointment. So we went down and saw the superintendent of the school, and once he realized I was playing drums, we started talking about music. I'm looking for a good drummer in the drum line. I was like, well, great, because I'm interested in music. That was the last time I heard it. My mom never brought it back
Nice. Well played. Very cool. So once you did kind of, get on your own and got comfortable, creating and working with the instrument, how did you kind of move it from like, traditional schooling setting to more of like a hobby setting where you were going to pursue it as, a career or hobby type thing?
Right. Well, my mom started that. I think, God bless her. She's passed away, but
Hmm.
she was like, she found these managers, and I had no idea she was doing this. And so she finally brought it up. By the way, I got this guy that's managed some of these bands, and he wants you to play. I said, when? She's like, tonight.
Oh.
Okay, that was pretty well experienced at this point. So he said it was a blues band. Okay, I can play blues. Okay, because I'm a drummer, I can do blues.
Hmm.
So I'm feeling pretty confident about that. When he shows up, he's got these. I'm like probably 14,
Hmm.
and these guys were probably in their 50s. And this little it had a station wagon, and
Sure.
so I was like, okay, so I load up my drums in the station wagon, and we're going. He goes, oh, by the way, the guy that's supposed to pick me up to do the blues, you're not going to be doing blues. You're going to be doing jazz.
Mm.
Oh, now I'm getting a little nervous because I don't have any clue about jazz, and it's open jazz.
Sure.
So I'm like, well, it's my first gig. I'm taking it. So my sister, I was so young, my sister had the chaperone. Okay, so we go to this jazz club in the middle of New York,
Hmm.
and I have no clue. And I knew what a ballad was. I knew what a swing was. So as long as they told me those two, I'm good. And that's what they would say.
Hmm.
This is a swing, and they'd count it off. This is a ballad, and they'd count it off. So I made pretty good. I think by the time I got done, they had a keyboard player there, and I felt sorry for her because I thought she was with the band, but she wasn't. She was just somebody that's like me.
Hmm.
And so we were stuck there. So me and my sister and this keyboard player with his Fender Rhodes. And, a Fender Rhodes is heavy, heavy, heavy.
Hmm.
And the rest of the band left. So I had to spend my money I earned to take a cab home,
Oh,
which is
geez.
about 80% of what I made.
Hmm.
So that was my first experience playing professionally.
Awesome. And so once you kind of had that setting and that bug kind of set in you, how did you turn that into like more of a often occurrence, more frequent occurrence of playing live?
Oh well, the first thing a lot of my friends always ask me, how do you find bands? Well, the first thing you do is you let people know what you play.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can answer ads, if I can put an ad out there that I'm looking for, some type of band, that's how I usually do it. And I've been playing pretty consistently, probably the last 40 years, every weekend if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I don't, obviously you want to take time off, you want to kind of keep it balanced. But yeah, I can always find, there's so many venues now and so many, social media. It's really easy to find a good band. You have
Mm-hmm.
to audition and stuff like that. But if you know how, if you come prepared on an audition, you usually can get the job, which, I have no problem usually working with someone.
Sure, definitely. So, when after you did kind of have that first setting, how did you kind of idealize your fitting into a band? Like, what did you kind of uh, imagine your role would be? Obviously, a drummer, sets the rhythm and everything, but like more kind of like creatively.
Well, I have to go way back too. I mean, if I looked at my ancestors, as Africans,
Mm-hmm.
and the main thing I loved about drums, because at that point, drums was the communication
Mm-hmm. Sure.
between villages, which was really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell, I let you know, baby was born today, or I could tell you that, war's coming, or I could tell you it's going to be a storm.
Mm-hmm.
And they would do that by, between drums. That really fascinated me.
Sure.
So I think getting people that feeling, with rhythm is really important to me. And sometimes it kind of goes past the dance move.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of gets you in the heart. And so that's why I kind of really got attracted to drums in the first place.
Excellent. And how did you kind of go about putting the band together? Do you play in a band that you created, or are you? You did mention prior to the interview that you were doing session work. How did you get into doing that type of stuff?
Well, it's all word of mouth too. I mean, once you get into a community, a music community, people know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
They know what you're capable of doing. They know your weaknesses and your strong points. And
Mm-hmm.
when a project comes up like that, I know Maurice could do this one. And
Mm-hmm.
so I get a lot of calls like that constantly. Uh, I also put the bands together. I'm putting a band together right now
Mm-hmm.
from my church. We're going to do like a, good funky bluesy thing,
Mm-hmm.
outside the church. And
Sure.
so I have some great musicians around me, really very talented people.
Excellent.
And so you're putting the project together is fun. I also, like I said, I also have auditions. I had an audition the other day with a Mexican jazz fusion type thing
Mm-hmm.
band. And then they do the authentic Mexican music. And so this is way outside my box. I'm not going to sit there and lie.
Sure.
But they saw some potential, and I like living outside the box once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Getting out of your comfort zone, that makes you learn a lot more.
Definitely.
So that's what I always like to learn something every day, no matter what I do, especially when it comes to music.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, with all of the time that you've been spending in music, what are some really standout memories for you? Some things that have really made an impact on you?
Well, I had a band together back in, I want to say, the 80s. We ended up doing a 5-state tour, 5-state. We did that for years. I
Mm-hmm.
actually bought a house, put like one of my kids through college with some of the money, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it really, I didn't think I could make it happen, and it just kind of landed in my lap.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, once you see the reality of it, then you can think, okay, yeah, I can do this. And then we just stayed on the road until I had, my second kid. Then I was like, okay, that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
You can only do but so much with that when you got, a pregnant woman at home. So
Right, right.
that kind of stopped everything. But it was a great experience. We did it for 5 years. I traveled on a bus,
Mm-hmm.
stayed at hotels, ate some crappy food. Life was good.
Very
I made
nice.
lots of money.
Very nice. So, what are some of the stories you have about doing session work? Who have you worked with around town?
Oh, well, I've sat back. I've worked with a band called the Rock Elders.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys, it's basically, we did it over the internet. It was one guy that lived in Germany. He was a pianist, classical pianist.
Mm-hmm.
My guitar player lived in St. Paul. We had a horn section, the whole 9 yards, and they were all over the United States and all over the world. And we just started sending files. You got to obviously got to have the right, DAW.
Mm-hmm.
But, but it worked great, and we sent stuff back and forth, and we got an album out. It's called The Rock Elders.
That's very
So
cool.
it's pretty cool, pretty cool. It's everything between rock and roll and classical. It's just really because everybody had their own input of writing,
Mm-hmm.
so each person had a different perspective. So one person was more rock and roll,
Mm-hmm.
one more person was more classical, and you'll hear it in the pianos. The way he played the piano sometimes is a different setting.
Mm-hmm.
When most of my friends, I sold like about 3,000 copies just from my neighbors and
Mm-hmm.
friends, and they sat back and said, this doesn't even sound like the same band. Every
Mm-hmm.
song something, and I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Especially when you're able to get that like diversity in song type, collaboratively over the internet when you're not all in the same room. That's awesome.
Yep, it's great. And now I'm doing a thing now with a Mexican, like I said, the Mexican band.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the audition. He's supposed to talk to me today, like a Zoom thing, but he was talking about like 8 o'clock. Well, I work in the morning, so it was like,
Mm-hmm.
can we do it tomorrow?
Sure, sure.
So we're gonna do that.
So what are some links where people can take a listen to the stuff that you have worked on or that might be coming up?
Well, you could definitely go to my Facebook page,
Mm-hmm.
and it's Maurice Wilson. And I'm Maurice Wilson in Burnsville, but now I live in Egan. But
Mm-hmm.
close enough, you can hear that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You can also go to goodfootexpress.com,
Mm-hmm.
and we're actually working on a new website for that. So you may not see anything at that particular time, but just keep checking with it, and we'll let you know when we get something set up again. So
Very cool. So I always like to give the person that I'm interviewing the opportunity to put out like their last word. So like a message that you kind of feel resonates with you.
keeping music programs in the schools is very, very important. I think I can really say that music has basically saved my life and kept me on track. Uh, it it helped me get disciplined. I remember back in the day when I was a kid, hey Maurice, you want to play some basketball? And my first thing I would say was no, I got to go home and practice. That's called discipline, and it kind of helped me out throughout my whole life. I mean, I'm pretty successful.